Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm back on again with JJ Eaton of Jokes on Me. He has just released a fantastic new track called Bottom Line, and I'm super excited to talk to him all about it. JJ, it's been like close to a year and a half. How have you been? What's happening?
Been well. Just been working on this new project. Been working on some new music and kind of venturing back into my roots, kind of where I came from as a musician
How
way
so?
back. When I started playing back in, gosh, when I started playing guitar in 1989, and of course I started and I had long hair and pierced ears and
Sure.
playing Metallica and Slayer and a lot of the metal stuff that I was into at a young age. Drifted away from that through the years. Like the last project I was in, the Louisiana project, was a lot more mellow. But just I got a new amp, a new orange amp, and started messing around with that a bit, and it kind of inspired me to go, try and do some things closer to my roots musically,
Totally.
and turned me on to kind of what I'm working on now.
No, I'm actually really happy you brought that up. It was the first thing I was going to ask you anyway. So I interviewed you in November of 2021 about your project, the Louisiana project. Clearly, this is a major change of pace for anyone that may have heard it, but I'm so happy to have the background on it because it sounds like now you're really doing what you want to do, or is there an equal love for both?
Um, I feel like I'm really doing what I want to do now.
Okay.
These songs are coming a lot more natural. Obviously, I progressed as a musician over the past 3 years, and I'm I just feel like this is a little more of a natural approach for me. It's a little closer to home.
Totally. That makes sense. Well, if anyone hasn't heard the song yet, I obviously urge them to do so. It's a hard rocker. It's got emotion, suspense, basically all of the check marks for what I love in my music. And so I'd love to hear it from you. Like, besides the instrumental portion, what does this song mean to you? What message are you trying to put out there with it?
Um, I'm not a very outspoken person. Outspoken person, I guess, when it comes to um, a lot of things. I know there's a lot of people probably disagree with that, but um, I just I really I'm trying to see how to delicately put this. Um, I'm pretty angry at our system, and I'm sure that it's been happening for generations. But kind of, especially with COVID and some of the things that have been going on as of late, I think that it's becoming more and more obvious that there's clearly people in charge of making decisions for people like you and I that have put themselves in that position after accumulating a certain level of wealth. I mean, to be blatantly honest.
No, no, I'm right there with you. I fully agree. I could talk about this for days on it. It's so infuriating to say it in the kindest way possible.
Right, and I think that that's great, and I think there's a lot, the truth. A lot of people would write a lot of, the way I think as a conspiracy theory, but I think that throughout history, there's been a lot of proven. There's a track record that's been proven that there are a lot of people that donate a lot of money to specific political parties, whether it's Democrat or Republican or independent or
Yeah,
whatever it is. I think that the problem that we really have in this world is that, um, regardless of what side of the fence you stand on politically, the reality is all candidates, or the majority of them, tend to be for sale. And
yes,
that's the whole basis of this whole song. Is the reality is the bottom line is what really matters, not you or me or how we do.
yes. No, yours it's so true. It really doesn't matter what side you're on. In one way or another, we're all kind of getting screwed in some facet of our life because it feels as though people can, yeah, put themselves in that position. And why do they want to be there in the first place? To kind of line their own pockets in some capacity. And
Right, right.
and obviously, like as much as I would love for one song to have the impact to change the world, I don't think it's going to, but it doesn't hurt to continue to bring awareness for those that, are kind of shielded in that sense, that are being manipulated in some other whatever, whatever they hear on the internet or what people tell them.
Right. Well, I think the whole purpose of the song is, obviously to get my frustrations out through song, but I'm hoping that maybe even if we only open one pair of eyes, maybe we
Yeah,
open a pair of eyes to somebody who finally says, "Hey, wait a minute. You know what? I am getting screwed by the system." Obviously you can hear in the song I say now it's war and
yeah,
we're only going to take it for so long before we're going to
correct.
stand up and fight. And the reality is, again, throughout history, you get an oppressed society that's dealing with, this type of system that's basically led by the people who are in power, um, who tend to be the wealthiest people in the group. Um, Eventually, you get to where regular citizens like us, they'll put their differences aside and finally realize, like, hey, if we could put the little differences aside, we could actually make a difference here, standing up against the people who are, first of all, I think they're pitting us against each other. I think that's a big part of it. And then
Yes.
I think the second part of it is they're pretty much just rendering us silent. Whether we say something or not, the ultimate end is, hey, we don't really have a lot to say because it's not getting through to them.
Yep.
And I think by banding together, there's a good opportunity that a lot of us could actually have, you know, something to say. Now, granted, we don't all have everything in common, but we do have one thing in common. You know what I mean? And the one
Yeah,
thing that we do have in common is we're being oppressed and we're being held back.
dude, I could not have possibly said it better myself. I don't want to veer away from the subject, but I'll try to like conjoin the two things. Going forward in the band's discography, because this is only your guys' second official single, are we
Right.
going to hear more political statements, or is it going to be, I guess, like situation by situation basis on what you guys write about, if there are more things in the works?
Well, we have a whole album in the works right now. We have a 10-song album in the works. A couple of the songs will be this release and the one we did before.
Gotcha.
We have another single is going to come out February 25th. A lot of this album is geared around people lying, people not telling us the truth. We got one song's called "Just a Game." The opening line is this just a game? Are people just collateral damage along the way? And so yeah, there are other political statements as well as personal statements.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward, this whole project is really going to be geared around having a voice and expressing my concern for the way things are going societally, if that's even really a word. But
It is, I
you
think.
know, but that's a big part of this. Is
Sure.
I did the Louisiana project, and some songs about I love my wife and I'm happy with what I'm doing and
Sure.
where I'm at, but I just felt like it was almost forced.
Oh,
And I feel like this project is natural. This project is coming from my heart. If I'm singing a song on this project, it's because somebody has wronged me somewhere, whether it was a past friend, a past relationship, or ultimately, the government and the powers that be that are telling us we have a voice when we really don't. Um, we got another song coming out that is called "Take Aim." And that one's another kind of shot at not at veterans. I'm very grateful for all the veterans that have stood up and done
sure.
what they need to do for our country, but it's more about how they're just basically, there's a line in the song that says, "Just follow orders and do what you're told, and stop rocking the boat." Like we're not interested in what you have to say, just do what we say.
Yep. I
And so
Yeah,
that
I'm on board. It's like you guys are the second coming of Rage Against the Machine here. Not that there not that there aren't bands doing this, but I do feel that sometimes a lot of bands or groups try to stray away from the things that are right in front of them. They go to the music that might feel forced, like talking, love stories or even just manufacturing stories, whatever it might be. But the fact that this is like really in your face with current events, there's a realness about it. and I think that that's lacking from a lot of music nowadays.
I would totally agree. I think that we're falling short in our opportunity to use the voice that we have, and that's how
Right.
I felt with the Louisiana project. Was I'm getting people's ears, and there wasn't a lot of people. I'm very clear it's a small crowd, but that's fine. I'm not worried about that. But
Sure.
if I'm getting people's ears, I feel like I should have something to say. You know what I mean?
I
And
agree.
I've realized I kind of came to a realization that hey, you know what? I'm not seizing the full opportunity that I have here. You know what I mean? And the full opportunity that I have is not for me to just to get out what I want to say. It's for me to get out what I'm hearing from a lot of people too. You know, there's a lot of people that are just as angry as I am and just as frustrated with the way things are going, but they don't necessarily have a way to get it out. They just it only comes up in a conversation that you have, at the water cooler or something like that,
Exactly.
And it's like, look, if I'm gonna do this project and it's, look, I'm 46 years old. I'm not young. I'm not delusional that all of a sudden I'm gonna be some young rock star and live this life. So I kind of got to a point where I really don't care who I please anymore.
That's what it's
You know
all
what I mean?
about. I think that's what
Yeah.
people listen, like, I'm not 46, but I'm getting to the age where I'm starting to not care about certain things, like getting rid of
Right.
like it's not even a confidence issue. It's just like, what does it really matter anymore? Just do what you got to do to make yourself happy and make the art that you want to do. And what if someone has something bad to say, then maybe they're jealous in a way. Who knows?
Right. Right. And I used to get really caught up in what other people would think and say, but the reality is playing the guitar and singing in a band. The biggest contributing factor to being good at it is being confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm not confident in the words that I'm saying, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be confident in the rest of what I'm playing with the song.
Right.
So that's why it was like, you know what? I have to sing stuff that's close to my heart. I have to say things that I really feel attached to.
Yep.
That's why this song, Bottom Line, I'm angry, and you can hear it in the song. There's a few times in the song you can hear I'm angry. I'm yelling at the microphone,
Yeah. No,
and
it
and it came.
fits the tone. It fits the tone perfectly. Um, I also want to bring up, obviously, you're not the only member in the band. I have to assume that the other members have similar feelings that you do in order to continue to make this music.
Right. So the majority of this has been myself.
Oh, okay.
I've been I've been doing all the guitar work, all the vocal work, most of the drum work I've been doing myself. I am uh, Rob, the bass player that was on the Louisiana project, is doing the bass guitar tracks on this, and my friend James, who was one of the drummers in the Louisiana project, he's been practicing the songs a lot at home. I have even been showing the songs to Mike, the other drummer from the Louisiana project, and it's just a project I'm working on by myself. But who I work with is always going to be open. You know what I mean? Because the reality is, I'm just trying to make good music. You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to make the music that I like, that I would play over and over again, that I'd put on my playlist. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? And
No, yeah.
that involves the message as well as the music.
I say this all the time. If you're going to be the person in the driver's seat making the music, putting the time and the effort in, and every other little tiny thing that goes into making music, why would you possibly want to make something that you didn't want to put on in the car yourself?
Right.
That goes to the point of like, you're in that point of your life where you got to do what you want, make yourself happy. And it seems as though there's like, there's not as many opportunities to be happy nowadays with everything else that's going on. So if you can find that
Right.
sliver for yourself, just do it. Just do it.
Right. Right. Well, this project definitely is making me happy.
Good.
It's making me more confident. It's closer to home.
Mhm.
It's just teaching me a lot about using the voice that I have through my hands playing the guitar
Yeah.
or doing some drum work or working through Pro Tools or anything like that. And yes, the other guys that are involved and that I include very similar feelings, to what you and I have talked about today. Everybody feels a little bit cheated. Everybody feels angry, and I guess the older we get, the more insignificant you realize you really are.
Yeah, that
You know
is
what I mean?
that is a fact.
So, one of my lines is, I came up with, election day. Power's bought, or power is bought, not given away. Don't let them fool you by what they say. And there's so much truth to that because it was during the election. I'm like, yeah, okay, but I didn't have any choice of the two people up there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I
Exactly.
only have
Yeah.
to choose between one of them. So,
Right.
um, it,
Yeah.
regardless of what we're being told, I really think that there's a grandiose plan or agenda behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think that you or I, whether we agree or disagree with it, are uh, insignificant in how that's going to move forward.
Yeah, and
You
honestly,
know,
I think your guys' band name has never been more fitting at a time like this, especially given like the subject matter. Because the joke is on all of this.
exactly.
It's the first thing, like, obviously I listened to the song a few times, made the connections, got a pretty good idea of what it was about. And then yeah, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Joke's on me.
Yep.
Because it's just a constant, yeah, wild. Wild to say the least. Um, I I have a couple more for you. I want to know. Obviously, we're still at the top of the year here, and you guys have so much planned and in the works. But what does the year look like? What's any other surprises or things that you'd like to happen? Hopefully.
um, just the single February 25th. I'm hoping to have the album out in May.
Okay.
Um, little of that will depend on the production time. We do have the writing portion of it done. We have the 10 songs written. I actually went through my end of it. I've got the guitar and vocal work done on 9 of the 10. So
Nice.
it's gonna come down to getting bass tracks. I'd like to get real drum tracks, and then go into the production side of it. But we are self-producing this one too. We're not
Awesome.
sending this out. And then hopefully we get that out by May. And if the response is good, I would like to start practicing and see if we can't start getting into doing some shows here by the end of the year
That would be
and
amazing.
really
Yeah.
start to
I
build a
mean,
following.
yeah. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure the music of the Louisiana Project would have translated nicely, but there's no way that this wouldn't be better, just based on like just the pure emotion in the vocals and just everything else. So I hope that you guys can make it work.
Oh, thank you. That's been the kind of the general consensus from everybody who's
Yeah,
heard the two projects has been this one is just way better, and just you can tell it's more
they're different.
natural.
They're
It's
different.
right. Well, in defense of the Louisiana Project, that was a project I started after being away from music for 15 years.
Okay, okay,
So it makes sense that I was kind of refining and getting my skills back and my chops back. Well, now here I am 3 years and 3 months into it again. I'm as comfortable on the guitar as I've ever been. I'm more comfortable with my voice than I've ever been. I'm more comfortable around Pro Tools and the recording equipment and all that stuff than I've ever been.
nice.
And I know that's going to continue to get better. So the growth is going to continue. I'm
Oh,
just finally to a point where I'm comfortable enough to be able to get through and do things like I haven't ever been able to do before.
exactly. Well, I'm excited to hear how the rest turns out. JJ, my last question for you is the same as last time, but there's always different people. So basically, the question is for the person that is going to discover you from this, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them before they listen to your music for the first time?
Um, everybody's had somebody lie to them. Everybody's had somebody cheat them. Everybody's had bad things happen to them in their life. Um, I dealt with abuse growing up, and we've got a song about that too. I think that I'm hoping that our music can connect with people that are unfortunately very familiar with those things happening to them:
Yeah,
lying, deception, cheating, abuse, stuff like that. I try to write most of the music from a healing perspective. And then on top of that, if usually people that have been through that type of thing are the people who are most aware of how much they're being shorted or cheated or out of something.
True.
So I just really hope that we can connect and make a connection with people that you know might be hurting a little bit and maybe not know how to heal through it or not know how to grow from it and turn it into a positive, because ultimately being shorted or cheated or lied to or abused, yeah, it sucks, it hurts, it's a hard thing to go through, but it's ultimately the the victim's decision to
Right.
move on or not. And me being a victim of a lot of that through my life, I decided I need to move on. And that doesn't mean that I went back and was able to make everything right with the people that did it to me, but I made it right with me.
Good.
And by being able to move on with that, I hope that I can translate that to other people who may need to be able to find a way to do that as well.
A fantastic answer. JJ, seriously,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. I'm really happy that we could make this work. And please let me plug your music for you one more time. If you
Absolutely.
guys didn't, if you guys didn't miss it, if you guys didn't hear it the first time around, the band is called Jokes on Me. The song is called Bottom Line. We will have all the links in our articles that you can listen and share and follow along because by the sounds of it, there's so much more on the way in the next 4 or 5 months at this point. I'm really excited to see how the rest of the record turns out. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Take care, and I hope to speak soon.
All right, you too.
All right, bye bye.
All right, bye.